Always figuring out the right camera. Hey everyone, this is Matt again with another Facebook Live with our Meet the Expert today. We're with Dr. Corey Reiser of Functional Health Center of the Carolinas. If you're jumping on, be sure to like this post. If you're jumping on later and watching the replay, be sure to like it. Share this with your friends. So, Dr. Reiser, tell us a little bit about you, how you got started in this whole thing, a little bit of your background.
Yeah, originally I'm from Ohio. I went to school for biology, got a bachelor's in biology, and at that point I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and got into chiropractic. And chiropractic, if not very many people know about it, and most people think it's back pain, neck pain, that sort of thing. But actually the curriculum is very medically based, so it's overall every body system we're going to go over.
Yeah.
And that kind of led me to functional medicine. And so after my doctorate in chiropractic, I got a certification in functional medicine, did some postdoctoral work in functional endocrinology, so more along the lines of like thyroid disorders, diabetes. So I'm using kind of all of that to promote health and wellness in the clinic.
Awesome. How long has your clinic been open?
So I've been in the Charlotte area for about 4 or 5 years working with people, and then my specific clinic that I opened we've been open since about November. Okay,
awesome. So tell people a little bit about what functional medicine is. You know, what exactly goes into that?
So most people are starting to hear about it. Cleveland Clinic actually just opened up a $10 million wing to their hospital for functional medicine.
Nice.
So it's really medicine that you kind of break it down to the bare bones. You're trying to find root causes of problems rather than just giving a medication to kind of suppress symptoms. Most people are coming in with these chronic diseases, and actually probably I think 1 out of 4 Americans now have multiple chronic diseases. 1 out of 2 Americans have at least one chronic disease. And we're spending a lot of our healthcare money on just maintaining these diseases and managing. We're not actually reversing them. So where functional medicine comes in is we're going to break you down as an individual. We're going to diagnostically test you and figure out, okay, let's say you have diabetes. Why do you have diabetes? You know, we know it's a blood sugar problem, but why aren't you regulating your blood sugar properly? So the biggest or the easiest way I describe it to people is if you came in with foot pain, I could give you ibuprofen for your foot and say, hey, it's going to feel better. But what if I took off your shoe and took out the rock? Okay, that's functional medicine. You got to find the cause of the problems. Give you supplementation or customize your diet based on you, because everybody is going to develop a disease for a different reason, and you're going to exhibit a disease for many different ways. So that's kind of what functional medicine is.
How does it differ from conventional medicine?
I don't like to bash conventional medicine, so I guess I'll explain it this way. Nowadays, most medicine is pretty unconventional, if you ask me, and it's a lot of that symptom suppression. It's medication after medication after medication.
We're masking the problem and fixing the problem.
Got it, exactly. So we're masking all these issues rather than really getting down to business and saying, okay, look, let's fix this. Let's fix the problem that started this whole thing, going out of control. So functional medicine compared to conventional is, you're going to come in and they're going to try to get you on medication that's going to maybe make you feel better, but you're always going to have that disease. There's no reversal of any kind of disease. So functional medicine will get in and actually reverse these disease processes. It's kind of like if you got an infection, you give the antibiotics, that removes the bacteria. Well, if you have a thyroid problem or diabetes, or if you have weight loss problems or barriers to weight loss, we got to figure out physiologically where is your body not functioning at its best. So that's why they call it functional medicine rather than conventional medicine.
Why is that so successful?
So the biggest thing is you're getting back to, a lot of basically kind of how medicine began was a lot of people, actually took supplements and customized diets, and doctors were really only coming to your house if you're based on your deathbed. So it's so successful because we're now finally realizing that you can change people's lives and reverse disease based on just changing their diet. Especially in the United States, everybody's on, and you know this more than anybody, everybody's on the standard American diet. So just by cleaning up the diet, your body is going to perform so much better. If you talk to any doctor that's worth his or her salt, the GI tract is where everything starts with any disease, and everything that we're eating nowadays, whether it's these pesticide-ridden things, hormones, antibiotics in your food, preservatives. These are all linked to many diseases. So you use functional medicine to strip all that away. You get down.
So you're kind of like a detective too,
exactly,
trying to find the real reason behind something.
Exactly, absolutely, and that's why it's successful, because you start to get people to live better, function better, and your body's naturally going to heal itself. I mean, it's like if you cut yourself, you're going to have a scab, and it's going to heal itself. Your body's trying to do that with every single organ system, hormones, so on and so forth. So you give your body the ability. You give a good diet, you give good supplements, and your body will naturally fix itself. Now, there's obviously some things that are just not fixable, whether that's, we have a lot of people come in that are type 1 diabetics. Pancreas is not performing well, it's not producing insulin, and that's something that functional medicine just can't change, because that's just something genetic from birth.
So what kind of qualifications? I'm sure no one can just come right off the street and claim functional medicine.
Right. Now, if you're an MD or a DO or somebody like that, I mean, you can practice functional medicine because it is in your nature to, all body systems and different things. But to attain functional medicine, if you go to any of these places like Functional Medicine University or IFM, you have to have like a doctorate, or you have to be like a nurse practitioner and have some, knowledge of the human body in order to get really deep into this, because it is like medicine, where you're going to be, you can make one little supplement change and that can affect somebody's health pretty profoundly. So you got to look out for people. I always tell people, especially as somebody like myself that has a certification, look for somebody that does that, because there are a lot of people that will say that they
are there certain certifications, just like with personal training. There's some that you have to study and do, and some that you can just take a 10-minute test.
Right. And this where some guys are out there, I'll train you. And the only reason they're training is because they've gotten in shape themselves, but they've never trained anybody else. So absolutely. It's, you have to find somebody that's been through the program. I mean, Functional Medicine University is 200 hours of functional medicine training. And I think actually 300 hours now, and you can actually work towards, which is what I'm doing now, your diplomate in nutrition. So it's a pretty hefty program, but it takes you through everything you need to know as far as functional medicine. So look out for those guys that have this actual certifications, because they can guide you in the right direction.
Awesome. So, we got to have people watching this now, have people watching this later, who should really be paying attention, or even if you know someone that, I'm sending, someone I know to you, just because I know after talking to you just a short time on the phone, how it could probably benefit them. So, if someone's watching, or if they know of someone, who should be, on the lookout for you?
So, I mean, the easy answer to that would be anybody with the chronic diseases that you see nowadays. So a lot of what we get is diabetics, so type 2 diabetics. People with thyroid diseases, so that would be somebody, actually, if you've ever heard of Hashimoto's disease, it's an autoimmune thyroid problem. We get people in that just have cholesterol problems. They want to get off their statins, because you hear all these bad things about statins nowadays, about it increases your risk for type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, all kinds of things. So we have cholesterol, we have weight loss. People come in and they've tried everything and they don't really know what to do, and or it's slower than they really think it should be. So we kind of dive in and say, okay, well, maybe your liver's not functioning properly, maybe your GI tract. So functional medicine, I mean, I guess the easy answer is the people with chronic diseases, heart disease, so on and so forth, but really it's for anybody, because we do a lot of preventative care as well. I just got done with somebody that's 31 and just wants to make sure that she's doing everything she can to not end up like the rest of her family and so on and so forth. So really, if you just want to ensure that you're on the correct path, that would be somebody that I would tell to come to functional medicine.
What do you think's the primary people that you normally see there? I think you kind of hit on it.
Yeah, diabetics would be the biggest. And then thyroid, diabetics, or diabetes.
Do you see more with the diabetes of people born with it, or turning more into a result of their lifestyle and diet habits?
Right there, yeah. So I mean, it's the people that 30, 40, or 45, they went in for a physical, or they had to do something for their life insurance, and their doctor comes in and said, hey, guess what? You actually have a blood sugar problem, you have diabetes. So, but the problem with that is that we've found that this is something that obviously it's coming on later in life, so that's a lifestyle thing. and you have these physiological breakdowns, and everybody's a diabetic for a different reason. So we deal with them a lot, especially in the southeastern United States. It's just a lot of diet. The sweet tea is like half sugar and half tea. So that has perpetuated the problem. And there is, I mean, the incidence of diabetes and just obesity period in the southeastern United States is unbelievable. The CDC, I mean, even with just obesity and diabetes specifically, the CDC stated it is an epidemic across the United States, and they only reserve that in terminology for bacteria or viral outbreaks. So, I mean, that just tells you how bad it is. I mean, we do a lot of diabetic work just for the mere fact that there's 30 million diabetics in the United States and 100 million diabetics and pre-diabetics combined. I mean, that's a third of our nation. So that disease itself is easily preventable, number one, and you can reverse it no matter what your doctor is going to tell you. You can stay on medications forever and manage it. But if you come to our office, we're going to show you like, hey, this is actually what it takes, and it's not that difficult. You just have to make some lifestyle changes. You can't be eating the donuts and the different things. And I mean, and some people come in with great diets. So there can be a whole host of problems that you aren't even aware of, and your doctor's surely not going to tell you about. And like I said, I don't want to bash that side, but a lot of the problem is they only have a certain amount of time with each patient. We're severely understaffed in hospitals and doctors' offices. I think it's about 8 minutes is the average time a doctor's going to spend. And I think they've asked a lot of them to take surveys, and about 50 to 55%, I think it is now, feel burned out, quote unquote, burned out. So we see a lot of diabetics for that reason, because it's just a hard disease to manage, reverse, and they just don't have the time. So
I know you talked on one that hit close to me, because I have a family member that deals with that, and maybe you can tell a bit about the disease and how you can help that. Hashimoto's, I know there's a lot of pain that goes along with that people don't realize.
Big time. Yeah, Hashimoto's is probably one of the most underdiagnosed diseases in the United States. And the funny thing is, not a lot of your doctors are actually even going to test for it, because it's just something that they think is not treatable, and it's just something that you're going to have. Hashimoto's, what it is it's a disease in which your immune system, kind of almost what I use the word, it would be confused, and it begins to attack your thyroid, or the enzymes your thyroid uses to get the hormone out to the body system. So similar to if you've ever heard of rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, lupus, those things, it's when your immune system gets overactive and one side of the immune system starts to attack the thyroid. So the problem is, when you get your thyroid tested, they really don't do a full panel like they should. And then they just assume that you have a slow thyroid. So they're just going to give you some thyroid hormone. Well, the problem is you have this immune issue. That's the cause of it. It's not actually your thyroid being slow. Your immune system is actually preventing your thyroid from doing its job. So that's where you really have to attack it. The immune system side rather than the thyroid side. But the problem is, and you kind of hit the nail on the head, is you have these thyroid issues starting to happen. And the thyroid hormones, they do so many things in the body specifically, and you have mood and pain tolerance. And then if you do have an autoimmune issue, you can have issues with your nerves and your muscles. And the people that have these thyroid problems and Hashimoto's, it is a tough life. It is a tough racket. I mean, day to day, because you could be happy one day, sad the next day, in pain one day, not in pain the next day. So treating and managing that, if you can see right there, it's day to day to day. It doesn't really help to see your doctor every 6 months for a checkup, just taking your Synthroid and your levothyroxine. You have to really manage this disease to reverse it. So yeah, that's one that it's very difficult. It's tough. But as far as treatment at our clinic, you're going to come in weekly. We're going to kind of hold your hand through the process, keep some accountability as well. But you're going to be in touch with me 24/7 working on this thing. And I think that's the biggest benefit of what we do in our clinic is 24-hour access to me, because you could have an issue at 8 p.m. at night and you can't call your doctor.
Can they do blood work with you, or do they have to go off to see that?
So they'll get it at a lab, but we'll kind of see where we want to go testing wise. We also do saliva testing. We test for heavy metals. I mean, we've had a lot of people, like even diabetics and our thyroid patients, they've either grown up to factories or they've worked in factories, and you have heavy metals that have literally never moved away, gone out of your body since 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. So you let the testing kind of dictate where you want to go. But yeah, we'll do full blood testing. I mean, we'll do lab testing so thorough on you it'll make your head spin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
So we actually had a question that I'll have you answer. I think went back to the diabetes question with the sugar. Is there a difference between sugars and sweets and wine?
There is. There's a lot of different sugars. So that's a great question. So sweets, I mean, you're going to have that sugar that's going to be an immediate release into the system. And actually, the funny thing is about wine, you'll probably have two different sugars. So you'll have alcohol, it's a sugar. So most people don't really know that once you drink that alcohol, that is a sugar your body has to deal with. It's a little bit easier to deal with than something you get from like a piece of chocolate or just straight table sugar. And then the wine itself, you've got the grapes, so there's fructose, and that is another sugar. So usually for like a diabetic, fructose is easier to handle as far as an insulin response and the sugar. So actually, here's a quick tip. If you do want to bake healthier or eat healthier, xylitol, it's a sugar alcohol. You can actually use that instead of sugar. So wine, a lot of people, especially a lot of diabetics, you'll know if you drink one glass of wine, you actually have better blood sugar in the morning. Because it's easier to deal with. But that table sugar or that chocolate or that donut you're eating is a little bit different. And you want to avoid that more so than the wine. I'm not saying the wine's the best for you, but that insulin response is going to be much greater, and that's what causes all those blood sugar regulation issues.
Sorry if you hear some honking. we got a car going outside. So kind of going off of other things that people may not know about but may be experiencing, what's with leaky gut, fatty liver, those kind of things?
So we're starting to hear more about those, especially leaky gut these days, and it has a lot to do with the foods that we've been eating for the last few decades. Once you started to hit the 1960s and 1970s, we had a lot more pesticide usage, we had a lot more antibiotic and hormone usage and preservatives just to keep the food supply increasing and increasing. But the problem with that is like gluten, for instance, if you kind of break that down, like in the 1910s and 1920s, the amount of gluten inside a plant was about 20%, and gluten's there just to kind of protect the seed through digestion. You can't break it down. Now, because they've genetically modified it so much to protect the crop, it's about 80 to 90%. So that's why gluten intolerance is a real thing, and that's the reason right there. It just back in the day when we were eating those foods, there wasn't enough to even cause a problem. So you have all these different things, these pesticides, this gluten, all these issues, and when you ingest those foods in your intestine, you have to absorb the nutrients into your bloodstream and keep everything out and expel it. So you have these tight junctions in between your cells, and in between those junctions is where the vitamins and minerals will go through your intestine into your bloodstream. Well, if you eat gluten and you have these pesticides and these chemicals constantly going through you, they break those junctions down, and now all of a sudden you have food particles going into your bloodstream. So that's where a lot of the food allergies are starting to come from with people and the autoimmune problems. You take somebody with Hashimoto's and you do a food panel on them, I guarantee there's at least 5 or 6 foods that they're allergic to. They have no idea. And every time they're eating those foods, they're inflaming themselves, they're preventing weight loss, they're preventing the disease process from healing. But that's what leaky gut is, and you have a major issue with that because, like I said, a gut problem leads to all other diseases. So to heal that, you've got to remove all these foods that cause these intolerances. You've got to get on an elimination diet, which would be a diet that's anti-inflammatory, and that way your junctions can start to heal back up. Then you can and don't get me wrong, you're not going to be off these foods forever. You just have to heal those up so that you can reintroduce the foods. Yeah. Now the fatty liver issue, it's kind of the same thing. Our liver, its number one job is to detox the body. So you start to feed all these chemicals and pesticides, and you're taking medication after medication after medication. The liver's not going to run as well as it should, and that's when you have a fatty liver situation. Most people with cholesterol issues will have that as well. B vitamin deficiencies, anemias, and that's where they can all start.
So I have a question. All these detox pills, your liver detoxes you. So is it really something behind the science on those detox?
It depends.
Or is it more take care of your body, your liver will do its job?
It's a combination of both. I would say because you can detox your body just by taking a B supplement. That's it. or you can just eat healthy and get your B vitamins. So yeah, I mean, it's like you said. I mean, if it's somebody like you or I, yeah, you just eat healthy. We're detoxing right now.
Yeah.
Somebody that's full blown that walks in and is like, my diet is this, this, and this through the day, and it's just pure garbage.
Yeah.
Then we might want to supplement just to get some therapeutic doses of well-known detox thing. Like B12 is a huge one. A lot of people are B12 deficient. They don't absorb it properly for leaky gut. So we use like a sublingual because B12 does a number of things with the detox, phase 1 and phase 2 detox in your liver. Cholesterol is huge. You can be on a statin, but you got to have B12 to oxidize that bad cholesterol and get it out. So that's kind of where a statin will come in, but it also has a number of other problems with it. So yeah, it's kind of a combination of both, I would say.
So we have 2 more questions. I like all the questions. Keep them coming.
Keep them coming, guys.
Do you help people with celiacs?
Yeah.
If you want to kind of talk about just a quick little thing, what celiacs is, if people don't know.
Yeah.
And then how you guys help with that.
So all these GI problems like celiacs and IBS and I mean diverticulitis, all those kind of things, you have a breakdown of the intestinal wall. You have immune system interaction where you're attacking cells that shouldn't be. So yeah, with that, we really have to figure out, okay, what is driving the immune response with like a Crohn's or a celiacs, and the celiacs would be also too, we got to remove foods because I'm sure this person that's asking about it, you have certain foods that just tips it off. So if a good food panel, see where we need to pull out certain foods, and the tool we use is a Cyrex Array 10. And a lot of people will say, well, I know I'm not allergic to all of these foods. And the problem is you don't have to go into hives or have bowel issues just to have an allergy. I mean, there's certain things that you're eating that are just causing these small problems that you don't even know throughout the day. So yeah, with celiacs, we basically let the testing show where we need to start. But immune system, suppress that out of balance immune system for those people.
Okay. And then we had to talk about apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar.
What's your
ACV?
What's your thoughts on that?
It's a good tool. Number one, so whenever you're buying the ACV, you want to get the one that says with the mother. Okay. So what the mother is that actually whenever you're making a vinegar, there's going to be bacteria involved in the process, and most of the time they'll skim that off, and then they'll hand you the vinegar and bottle it with it and so on. So the mother, they actually leave that in with ACV. So number one, it's great because you can get a probiotic essentially by just drinking the stuff or putting it on your food. But the properties of it, I mean, it's going to help with your stomach, first of all, because most people nowadays have a problem with correct HCl production. So a lot of people that have gas immediately after they're eating a high protein meal, let's say, you could take a little shot of ACV or apple cider vinegar to help your stomach start the digestive process. I also use it for people with cravings. If you tend to overeat or you have cravings, put a little shot in your water, drink that down, and that tells your body to kind of stop overeating. And everybody knows the taste of vinegar. It makes that consumes your mouth. So if you have a sweet craving or a salt craving, it'll kind of get rid of it. But yeah, apple cider vinegar is great. It's a great detox tool. So it helps the liver kind of start its process, and that's what it's doing. So yeah, I'm all about it, all for it. I think it's really good.
Is there a difference between the liquid and the pills? Because I know some people, the taste of the vinegar is what gets them.
It's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the pills to comment, to be honest.
Okay.
If I were you, I would stick with the liquid. I think that's what I've been using, and I tell my patients. But yeah, I don't know much to comment.
Okay. And then how does the functional health help with the diabetes? I know that's one of the major ones we talked about. Is it more just focusing on the diet then? And then
that's one part of it. And that's what I kind of try to tell people when they come in for our initial diabetic consultation. It's diabetes is not a weight problem and not a diet problem. It's certainly not the cause of it, and it's certainly not the cure of it. I've had a woman I had in this morning. She was on a generalized diabetes diet for about 8 weeks, and she was on this Facebook group, and everybody was doing it. And we get to the end, and she said it worked great. And I said, did it fix your problem? And she said, no. I said, so it didn't work, right? And I said, why do you think that is? And then she kind of sat there and she was, well, I guess it was so general, it didn't really specifically address what I needed. And so I said, don't beat yourself up about it, because that is a part of it. You have to eat well. You have to have a great diet. okay, because that gives your body the
There it goes again.
gives your body the ability to start to heal. But the biggest thing is you've already started a disease process.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're past the point where the diet is going to keep you healthy. So now you have to actually break down and say, okay, let's fix this organ, this system, this hormone, and so on and so forth. So where I come into play with diet is I'm a proponent of the old quote, let food be thy medicine be thy food, so on and so forth. So if you are already a healthy individual, continue to eat clean and you should have no problems. If you have a disease process, the diet is where we need to start, but there's many different things we have to address before you can return to health.
Definitely. Why do some people, we see it in here, what do you come across when people are having trouble with weight loss? What do you find are the biggest reasons behind it? The
biggest reasons for women, for sure, the biggest reason would be two reasons. A thyroid problem that is not diagnosed, so you can have what's called subclinical hypothyroidism, and that actually brings up a great point between conventional medicine and functional medicine. Conventional medicine, it takes about 50 years on average for a clinical application to be put into practice. Functional medicine, I just got done looking at stuff about an hour ago, follow up on the current research. So our lab values are going to be much smaller than the current stuff that they've got from 1968. And it's like this wide, so for instance, like your TSH of your thyroid, they're saying, okay, 0.45 to 4.5 is where it should be. And a functional medicine doctor is going to say, okay, well, I need that to be actually 1.8 to 3. Why would I want to wait till you get all the way over here, all the way over here before I say, you might have a thyroid problem? So functional medicine is going to look at these smaller lab ranges, and that's where subclinical hypothyroidism comes into play, where you may appear on paper as if you are fine, but if you actually look at the pattern, your thyroid's not running correctly, and it's the gatekeeper to all metabolism. So if your thyroid's not working as fast as it should, your metabolism won't be either. The second thing would be estrogen and hormone imbalances. With women, it's huge. You got to break down that estrogen, and there's a number of different reasons for why somebody would have high estrogen or progesterone or estradiol and so on and so forth. But it's that weight around the hips and the gut, and those areas are where the people can't lose, and that's typically what it is. So you start to fix those hormone problems. Generally comes back to the gut and the liver. They start to accelerate the weight loss again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of stuff today, a lot of good information. How can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
So a number of ways. The easiest way would be to call the office, 704-625-2994. But we have a big social media following and website. So our website's fhccarolinas.com. Our Instagram and Facebook is at FHCCarolinas. So we post stuff daily, videos. Anybody from Get Fit Fort Mill and that works with Matt here, you guys get 10% off your treatments. Your initial consultations are free, so by all means come in. We'll have an adult conversation, one-on-one talk, see if we can help you. If we can't, we'll get you somewhere that you can get help. But like I said, the easiest way is to call, or the website, fhccarolinas.com.
fhccarolinas.com. Oh, Carolinas. fhccarolinas.com. Okay. The www. There we go.
Hey.
Okay. So we have the phone number for the office number. Don't forget, if you're watching this, if you're watching the replay, you're going to get 10% off. So just mention Get Fit Fort Mill, and, Dr. Corey Rise will be able to take care of you there. You can watch this on replay, and, go check him out. And our next Facebook Live on Friday, we'll be having our client, Joseph Canestro, who's been at Body by Brady for a few weeks now, has been killing it. So we're going to have him on here talking to you guys. Thank you, Corey, for coming by and dropping some knowledge. We'll do it again soon. Have you come out here probably next month, and we'll pick some new topics. If there's some stuff you guys want us to talk about, comment below here, and we'll be sure to get that on the next Facebook Live that we do. Thanks, everyone, for checking us out. Talk to you later. Bye.